Hello again. So recently I've been analysing lyrics from some pop songs and I had a request to have a look at Harry Styles' single As It Was. And at a first glance, this looks like actually a pretty simple lyric, but there are actually a few interesting things going on here. So I've taken a bit of a closer look and I'll share my ideas with you here. So you can see the first verse is on the screen. So there are a few theories about what the song's really referring to. It seems to be either about dealing with his incredibly fast rise to superstardom and his relationship with fame. Things move on and he's unable to return to how things were before all this madness kicked off with One Direction. Alternatively, it could have a more general theme, I guess, about isolation and separation, being unable to open up about your emotions, and therefore being stuck where you are. So it could be quite personal to him, or you could take it in a more general way. So let's have a look at the actual lyrics and what's going on here. So the song begins, it's quite a cute beginning actually. It begins with a line spoken by Harry's goddaughter, Ruby, asking where he is. This immediately sets up the idea that Harry is unavailable, maybe because he's in a new or a different place. He's not able to take her call, or he's on the other side of a door and can't or won't answer. And that really sets up the rest of the song quite nicely, so it's fairly fitting. The opening verse then expands on this idea. At first, Harry uses a pun on the word holding, which he repeats in the first two lines. Gravity obviously keeps things down literally to Earth, and this suggests he's unable to truly fly or rise up because of something that's holding him back. He asks you, using the second person voice here, to open your hand, which would obviously be a symbol of offering hope or support. And when he asks, why don't we leave it at that, he's saying that would be enough for him, something as simple as an open palm, which sounds hopeful, but then the next line is more abrupt. Nothing to say shows us that he's stuck and can't move forwards, and it's maybe going around in circles in his current situation, a bit like some of the imagery in the video. Nothing to say when everything gets in the way is the first rhyme, and then there's a third rhyme of that with stay at the end of the verse. Again, there's this suggestion of inertia and being unable to move on, as he comes to realise he's the one who will stay where he is unless he does something. Because Harry uses the second person voice, we can take a guess at who the you is that he's talking to. Using the second person voice is really, really common in pop songs. It could be something fairly literal, like an ex-girlfriend. However, it could be his past in general, so he's effectively talking to himself and how he's unable to leave that behind. Let's move on to the chorus now, which at first does seem to kind of contradict the verse. He now starts talking about how it's just us, despite talking earlier about how alone he is. He uses a half rhyme here of us and was to show how things are not perfectly matched. So is he talking to someone, or perhaps talking to himself, which would link in more with the sense of isolation and stagnation he feels in the first verse? When he says things are not the same as it was, he simply means things have changed and probably won't return to how they were. In one interview I read, Harry actually talked about this song, and he said it's about moving forwards, especially after the COVID pandemic, and realising that it's not possible to always return to how things were. Maybe it's not something we should try and do either. Okay, so let's carry on, have a look at the second verse here. In this one, we kind of return a little bit. There's an echo here of the goddaughter's line at the start that shows Harry's in his own space and not particularly good at responding to others who need him. Another person now talks to Harry, asking him two questions, and both of those questions are useful because they give us an insight into Harry himself. He's at home alone here and taking pills of some kind. We don't know what kind of pills these are, but maybe none of them are the answer. The video in the song actually alludes to this quite nicely, as the main characters are dressed in red and blue, And if you know The Matrix, it's quite similar to that concept where the characters need to choose between a red pill and a blue pill. So Harry continues this idea of being at home, needing help, with the line ringing the bell, which sounds like the doorbell to let people know you're there. Although someone who rings the bell could also be someone who's like sounding an alarm, in this case asking for help, but nobody's coming. Note also that he uses the present tense all the way through the song here, which also helps to give a kind of sense of unfinished business, like he's still pondering these ideas as he speaks and may not have all the answers yet. And as with many of Harry's lyrics, they are quite literal and often autobiographical. That certainly seems to be the case with the line, "Your daddy lives by himself," as his parents did divorce when he was quite young, and while his mother remarried, his father did not, and so presumably still lives by himself. So the idea of simple, basic relationship needs is repeated here, as we're told he just wants to know that Harry is well. And we then get to the chorus before we move to the bridge. There's a lot of visual imagery about movement in the song, and we get more of this here. We also see it in the video, of course, where Harry is literally going round in circles or being split apart from his girlfriend, or possibly that's his alter ego. The bridge here then starts with a couple of examples of imperatives: go home, get ahead, and then an internal rhyme, ahead and internet, which certainly picks up the pace of the lyrics. He continues to sort of reject the idea about opening up about his past and his emotions, preferring not to talk about the way it was, and then ends with some interesting lines about leaving America with 2 kids, something very specific. Fans obviously looked for ideas about who this person could be, if indeed they are real. They didn't probably have to look too far, because his girlfriend at the time was Olivia Wilde, an American actress who does have 2 children. So perhaps those lyrics are the easiest ones to figure out. So overall, the lyrics discuss the theme of isolation and the need to move on from the past, however hard that might be. We could read it as Harry's own battles to get past his boy band history and create a new identity for himself, or we could take it as something for all of us and how we need strong relationships and support to move on from problems. So there you have it. If you have other songs you'd like me to analyse, I quite enjoy doing this, so feel free to leave me a comment and give me some suggestions of songs you'd like me to go through and analyse. And also, obviously, if you did like this analysis, please also feel free to like or subscribe. Thank you very much for watching.